Hi everyone, welcome back to The Right Response with Rosh. And today my video is going to focus on something that we are all celebrating here in Malaysia and Singapore. Malaysia is the country I come from, Singapore is the country I live in. And both Malaysia and Singapore are multicultural and multiracial countries. And what we like to do is to celebrate each other's festival. So since 10th of February marked the Lunar New Year, or the Chinese New Year, and this year the Chinese celebrate the Year of the Wood Dragon. So I thought it would be interesting to have a video around the virtues and the attributes of a dragon. I mean, it's a mythical creature, but I did a little bit of digging and I found out there are attributes and virtues and qualities of the dragon that are really wonderful that all of us can, aim for. Okay, so let's get to it. So let me just share a little bit about, the Chinese New Year celebrations that we have here in Malaysia and Singapore. It is super fun. It is filled with lots of festivities, lots of beautiful decorations. In the place that I live, the complex that I live in, we even have lion dances and dragon dances to herald in the new Lunar New Year. And when growing up, these were the things that I really loved receiving. So these are what we call Hong Bao in Mandarin, Ang Pao in Cantonese. Malaysia, we tend to use a lot of more Cantonese. So in Singapore, we would say Gong Zi Fa Chai, pardon my pronunciation. But in Malaysia, we would say Kong Hei Fat Choi, which is, I believe, how they say it in Hong Kong. And or at least when Cantonese was very much in use. So Hong Bao in Mandarin, Ang Pao in Cantonese, basically they mean red packets. And why we used to love to receive them is because we would visit homes to celebrate the festivities with our friends who are who are Chinese, and they would give us ang paos which had money in it. So for kids it is super fun. Now here's the thing. The Chinese celebrate every year with a different animal. Now, there's a whole story around it. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to ask you to use YouTube or Google to find out more. But this year, we celebrate the Year of the Wood Dragon. Now, that means that anyone who's born in the Year of the Dragon will either be turning 12 this year or 24 this year, or 48 or 60, you get the idea. So basically there are 12 different animals, and the dragon is the only mythical creature. But when I was digging up and finding out a little bit more about the dragon, there were some attributes that I really loved. For example, courage, right? We all could use some courage when we are talking about responding to people, or when we're responding to remarks or questions that are thrown at us. In fact, the dragon is, all about using your voice to speak up. So, how appropriate it is for responding. But I'm going to focus on 3 virtues that I think all of us could use for as we move into the new year, whether it is the Lunar New Year or whether it is 2024. So let me share with you what those are. The first virtue, I want to focus on wisdom. Now, when it comes to reacting, sometimes what happens is our emotions get in the way when people say certain things, or when we are put in a spot, or we get feedback that is totally unsolicited. And when that happens, sometimes when the emotions are high, our intelligence can be a little bit low. So being able to put on the armor of wisdom means being able to take a step back, to look at the situation with clarity, and then to be able to respond with thoughtfulness. It doesn't mean that we ignore the way we are feeling. We acknowledge our emotions, but choose a more constructive way in responding to the situation or the person, and also being mindful about the words we choose to use. I remember there was a quote I was introduced to many years ago, and one of those quotes that has guided me, and yet at the same time, it has escaped me in certain moments. But the quote goes like this: the genius of communication is in the ability to be both totally honest and totally kind at the same time. Now that takes wisdom. I also want to add that sometimes wisdom is also about knowing when to say something and knowing when not to say something. So sometimes the best response is actually remaining silent. The thing is, how do you gain wisdom? The unfortunate thing is that sometimes wisdom is gained by us doing things not so well, or it's when we fail. But being able to take those lessons and being able to listen to feedback that people share with us and using that wisdom to basically create better responses in the future. So the second virtue is strength. Now, when we talk about strength and we talk about it in the context of a dragon, sometimes we think, oh, it's about physical strength. Well, yeah, I'm all for building physical strength. But when we're talking about being able to respond better, I'm talking also about inner strength, the ability to have that resilience, that ability to be able to bounce back when things don't go according to plan, right? So how do we build that inner resilience? Sometimes, again, this takes effort, it takes time. There are things that we can do. For example, there is something called the ABCDE formula, which is taught by Martin Seligman in his book Learned Optimism. But there's also, that ability to reset our negative thoughts. Now, I'm not saying again that we're not allowed to have negative thoughts, and it is okay to stay in a negative space, but find strategies that you can use to either bounce back from these situations, either by being able to have a mentor that you can speak to, or friends that you can confide in, or maybe even listening to podcasts that help you see things from a different perspective. Inner strength can also be built by having practices such as mindfulness or meditation. So find something that can help you, and remember that you are never alone in anything. So that brings me to virtue number 3, which is knowledge. Here's this thing. We always say that when you know better, you can do better. And I always hope that some of my videos are there for all of us to learn from each other, sometimes from my mistakes or sometimes from people who are far wiser, far knowledgeable than I am. And they give us tools and techniques to be better versions of ourselves. But the other thing about knowledge is that I hope we are all more curious, and we are more interested in each other and learning more and understanding more. And this can actually create a much more tolerant, kinder society. And I think, even in a work context, now the reason why I bring work in is because a lot of our lives are not only spent with our families and our friends, but it's with our colleagues. So if we can learn a little bit more about their lives, learn a little bit more about each other's culture, learn a little bit more about how people see things and perceive things, some of these things can actually equip us to thrive, in adversity. So there you have it. 3 wonderful, attainable, real qualities that all of us can strive towards, right? Whether it is wisdom, or whether it is inner strength, or whether it is knowledge. Hope that you really enjoyed this video, and that do remember to like, to subscribe, and to share my video. And let me also share with you a video I created for my clients and my friends and my family. So I hope you enjoy it too. Again, creating it with Lumen 5, which is something that you can use super easy. I am using just the free version. That is why I want to give an acknowledgement to Lumen 5 and thanking them, for this wonderful AI tool that really helps me create these wonderful greetings for my family and friends. Till the next video, see you. Take care. Stay blessed.